Welcome to another edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, the series that takes a critical look at Scripture, pointing out its numerous errors, contradictions, and fallacies. This program teaches a kind of Sunday school in reverse by giving you the biblical information that you should have heard but didn't. With millions of Americans hearing a totally one-sided presentation of the Bible, balance is greatly needed. Only when people are given both sides of an issue can a truly objective analysis be possible. And here to provide the alternative perspective is the editor of Biblical Errancy Newsletter, Mr. Dennis McKenzie.
Welcome to Biblical Errancy Commentary. We're pleased you've joined us. This is the first program in a long series that will focus on the tremendous number of failings and shortcomings that are to be found in Scripture. The very title of our program, Biblical Errancy Commentary, could literally be translated as a commentary on Bible errors. The Bible is unique among pieces of literature, if for no other reason than the incredible number of errors, fallacies, inconsistencies, and inaccuracies contained therein. Although many different types of biblical problems could be addressed, contradictions remain the most obvious, the most potent, the most easily proven, and the most common problem to plague the book. Consequently, we'll begin by presenting a sizable number of simple, blatant contradictions and some of the more common apologetic defenses that one can expect to hear in response. Rather than trying to cover every one, which would be a tremendous task, we'll concentrate on enough glaring examples to give any objective observer or listener a clear idea of the magnitude of the problem. So you might want to get out some pencils or a pencil and some paper in order to keep a record of that which can be found in the King James Version of the Bible. You're about to hear the kind of verses that should be readily available when biblical propagandists come to call, or when you're confronted by those who really believe the book is valid. Before proceeding, it should be noted that we focus on chapter and verse and stay almost entirely within the Bible. We rarely bring in extra biblical information because it's not necessary. The Bible is its own worst enemy. More than enough information is contained within Scripture to prove that the Bible couldn't possibly be the perfect word of a divine being. With that introduction in mind, let's now proceed to the heart of the matter. One of the most obvious weaknesses of the Bible lies in its propensity for constant repetition. Deuteronomy repeats much of Exodus. Chronicles repeats much of Kings and Samuel. Proverbs is repetitious. And the Gospels follow in lockstep. And in all this repeating, it often fails to maintain consistency. Far too often, the right foot doesn't know where the left foot is going. Of course, that's to be expected when you're dealing with a book that was written over approximately a 1,500-year period by 40 to 50 different writers, few of whom seemed to be very concerned about what the others were saying. For example, in identical stories, 1 Kings 5:16 says that 3,300 chief officers were involved, while 2 Chronicles 2:18 says it was 3,600 overseers, a difference of 300 people. In another story, 1 Kings 4:26 says 40,000 stalls were involved, while the same account in 2 Chronicles 9:25 says it was 4,000 stalls, not 40,000. On page 39 in the book entitled, Does the Bible Contradict Itself?, apologist Arndt offers the following explanation for the latter conflict. He states, quote, The old Lutheran theologian Pfeiffer points out that the passage in 1 Kings deals with the affairs of Solomon at the beginning of his reign, while that in 2 Chronicles belongs to the closing verses of the section dealing with the end of his reign, unquote. In essence, he's making an assumption based upon information that's nowhere to be found in Scripture. There is no reason whatever for making a distinction of this kind other than to escape an obvious conflict. It would mean that Solomon was far weaker militarily at the end of his reign than he was at the beginning. And the number of stalls in his possession went from 40,000 to 4,000. Later, Arndt says, quote, "If anyone feels that the difficulty is not fully removed by this method, he may assume that a copyist error has crept into the text. A scribe writing 40,000 instead of 4,000, unquote." In other words, he's just throwing out some excuses, and you can take your pick. How's that for objective scholarship? 1 Kings 7:26 says 2,000 baths, while 2 Chronicles 4:5 has 3,000 baths in the same account. Apologist Johnson sought to solve this problem by stating the following on page 37 in his book entitled, "So the Bible's Full of Contradictions." Quote, "There are at least two possible